Hello. Welcome back, guys. It's been forever. Gabriel, I see ya. Welcome to the show. It's kind of weird doing these streams after so long because I had to kind of take a little break from these. I'm hoping you guys can hear me okay. I had so much changes. I basically built a whole brand new computer almost with some upgrades. My apartment got rearranged. That was my fault. I got a green screen, which is why you see a forest behind me now instead of just a room. So a lot of things have changed, but I'm back. We're back. Let's talk some D&D. We're just gonna today. I just wanted to do a simple hey, let's chat. Let's talk about Dungeons and Dragons or any other tabletop role-playing game. You guys can hear me fine. Excellent. We need to get some music going, so let me get that going here. We'll go to the YouTube. I got really into... This is weird. I got into Nightcore a little bit, but I'm not going to do that this time. We'll do some chill... It's called chill step. I think it's like a lo-fi dubstep. I don't know. But we'll try that out. Anyways. So yeah, things are insane in the world, so I hope everyone's doing fine and being safe. And I hope, the COVID isn't really getting in your way and you're able to play. That's the important thing. So I guess what we'll talk about, I have two kind of bigger announcements that I'm going to take these chunks after the stream and I'm going to chop them up and make separate videos about them. First, I want to start a game with some of my viewers. So the idea there is if you don't have a game to play in, that's kind of the ideal. It would be people who don't really have a place to play yet. I will put... That is awesome, Gabriel. DMing a mini campaign. That's great. 2 or 3 people, I've found, is an optimal number. You get some really good role play in those moments, and you don't get too distracted. Briefly, I'm just gonna finish mentioning though. So I want to pick about 4 or 5 viewers from the community. When I post this video next, I'm gonna leave an email address, and I'm gonna ask people to go ahead and email me at that address. It's going to be richard.quiner@therpgdaily.com. If you send me an email, I'm going to pick 4 or 5 people, probably 5, because that's more fun for me. And I'm going to run a short 4-session campaign online for those people. So if you don't have a game to play in, this is a perfect opportunity to get into a game. And it's partially me being a little greedy. I want to learn how to DM for some people that I don't know personally too well yet. So it's a learning experience for everybody. So that'll be fun. YouTube is telling me there's problems, but I don't think there's problems, YouTube. You're wrong. So that's one thing. So that'll be a whole video I'm going to post. I don't want to make it 18 plus, but I know personal information. I know you're younger, so I would want to make sure your parents are cool with it, just because it's the internet and there's weird people out here. That's all. But you are more than welcome to submit. Timing and stuff like that, we'd have to figure it out with the group. I just want to, run a 4-session game, see how people like it. It's more for people who haven't played, but I'll accept any application out there. The next thing, which will be another kind of highlight video, is coming up in July. So next week, today is June 23rd. So starting next Wednesday, they are... The RPG Writer Workshop is starting up again for the month of July. This time I've sponsored a couple sponsorships, or what are they called? Scholarships for them that they are handing out. But I'm going to do one more. I want to get a member of the community who watches me here. No class or race limitations, Gabriel, not at the moment. So I'll get any member of the community here can also kind of apply to join that RPG Writer Workshop. I'll just pick one person. I will pay for their tuition, so to speak, in that. And then they will join me in the challenge of writing and publishing an adventure in 1 month. That's kind of the idea. So that, I'll put more information in the description of this video, which is going to be a highlight of this stream. I hope that makes sense. So there's two possible things you can do. Join in a game or join in writing an adventure. I think it'll be fun. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. So all that, now that that's out of the way. Gabriel, congratulations on getting into DMing. That's really exciting. Tell me about it. What do you got going on with that? What's your game going to be like? And also, while we're doing this, I'm going to pull up some of my work because I'm going to be prepping for one of my games using a tool that I actually just got into recently, which is called Foundry Virtual Tabletop. There we go. This over here. Foundry is which free? Personal information. Foundry Virtual Tabletop is not a free software. It was $50, but it basically, in my opinion, it makes Roll20 look like old. It looks like Windows 95 or Windows 2000 compared to what Foundry can do in its tools, and it has a huge community support system happening right now, which is amazing. And so I really like that side of things, which is why I'm trying to use it. And they've made some amazing features for it. I was able to go on D&D Beyond, import all of the adventures from D&D Beyond into the virtual tabletop with maps, journal entries for different things like that. And so I could essentially run any of the games through this one. The other good thing about it is I don't deal with I don't deal with limitations on Roll20 because the server is based on my own computer. And so I'm not hoping that Roll20, gives me the server space I need. I can just deal with that myself. A local merchant. I don't know if it works for Mac, Dustin. Let me find out. They do have a Macintosh, a Mac OS server. I would suggest learn Foundry. The other side, though, is Roll20 does have a free tier. So it really depends on what you need, like what you're trying to do, Dustin. I personally use this because I know right now I'm running quite a few games online. So I decided to, invest in myself. I treated myself to this software. Roll20 works perfectly well for quite a few people, though. So I was here. I was going to make some menus and some maps here. I was going to show you guys some cool features of this. Oh, so I wanted to look at this information. Part of walking through forest when they stumble upon a trap, bandits attack them but can't really hurt them, of course, because they're the heroes. They have to kidnap a local merchant. And then the party is going to try to stop them from kidnapping the merchant. Is that the plan? Sounds like a fun, simple adventure. If you're playing D&D, are you playing D&D from work with your kids or at home? Because you don't need this if you're just playing at home. Just use your table if you're playing at home. But if you're doing it from work, that's a whole other thing. Oh yeah, you don't need any of this. You just need some dice. And an imagination, which I know you have. I know you got that. Let's see here. So cool feature I'm going to show you guys real quick. This Foundry, see, I have a folder on my computer in my Explorer where I can put things that I want. And earlier today I finished making a animated map using Flowscape for a fight that my party's going to get into. Ah, that's an interesting premise, Gabriel. They're dealing with the bandits trying to kidnap a merchant, but then it just puts them in the greater adventure that is the kingdom that had been destroyed, or thought to be destroyed. I dig it. Good luck with that, man. I hope you guys have a good time. As long as you're having fun, that's all that matters. A cross-country race that may or may not be about some bad people. That is an interesting one. Oh, do I need to update soon? Probably. But you saw on my computer, I was able to just drag this video file into a folder. And now when I go here to make a map, I make a scene. I can create a scene and I can fill this in. This is going to be called Ice Reach Docks. And then my background image, I can actually just open this up and I go to my maps and I can find the exact map that I just imported. I hit select. I make this big because it's a pretty big file, 3000 by 3000, and I have a square grid. And then I hit save changes. And then you'll see here in a minute. What is the cross country? What are they running away from or running to? So that lets me import a video file as the background for my map, which is then shared over the online. And then I can add more things on top of this as well if I want to. So that's why I think this one was pretty neat. The part of it. I have my camera right in the way of all my cool tools. There we go. Come here. That's what I get for having to put my camera right dead middle of my screen. I can't see everything all the time. Ooh, 20 platinum. That's a pretty good prize. And what level is that campaign for? Personal information? We're going to do some barrels. Let's put some barrels on my dock. Not supposed to be that big. Alt, shrinks them down, and I think it's shift lets me put them where I want. Level 3 and up, nice. That is probably the best part, Gabriel. That's really exciting. So your local library is open to have people show up. That's awesome. Living in Los Angeles, our local city has opened up some shops and things lately. Businesses are allowed to open, but we then saw an immediate spike in cases of COVID. So my D&D groups, at least, we're all on the same page of we're just going to stay home and play online for now. We're not going to get into the in-person gaming or trying to do that yet. We're going to wait till we get a few fewer cases of the COVID-19 would be nice. And what level are they going to be, Gabriel? Is that first levels, or are you doing starting them off a little higher? Let's see. Got some chests. So this dock. Oh, first level. All right. Is this your first time DMing, Gabriel? Is this going to be your first game that you're running? Oh. Then I hold shift and click. There we go. Oh, they are new. Excellent. That's the idea, personal information. I just wanted to chill. I just wanted to chill a little bit. And it's your third campaign. All right. So you have already got your feet wet. You know, is this your first time DMing? I'm going to assume by third campaign you mean third time running a game. Which means you're already a pro. Already a pro. Let's see, what else? Oh, let's see what is on the dock. Oh, these are more docks. We don't need more docks. We have this really interesting situation in my campaign coming up where the party, known as the Wild Bunch, they're a bunch of uber masculine fighting. They always want to punch things. That's their first go-to thing, is to punch something. They are actually ambushing one of their longtime enemies at this dock. So if you see here, this large ship that I'm pinging here, that is actually a ship bringing in a shipment of supplies. What supplies? They don't know yet. I know what they are, but they don't. The supplies are coming in, and their bad guy, their enemy, is collecting those supplies from the dock. And so the party has situated themselves to form an ambush. So I'm setting up I'm trying to give them a nice map and a nice situation where they can really get into the fighting and really have a good time. That's the whole idea behind this moving map. Normally, I probably wouldn't do that, though. It's a lot of work. So the ship is really big. It's coming from another place. So we're using kind of a Greek ship design where this one has oars, and that was a whole thing. I had to go figure out how to download the 3D model, import it into Flowscape, and then Flowscape was also messing with me. It was like not letting me load into my map for the longest time, which was rather frustrating, I would say. But eventually I got it all figured out. Then I had to do screen capture, resize it, encode it, all that good stuff. So now I'm just like decorating. And I lost my thing again. There we go. Decorate some more. Got bells and boxes, flags. What do we got? Well, let's give this ship a flag on it. Maybe not. Some of these look a little weird. Not a fan. Ah, nice. That is awesome. Keep at it, man. I think I've had about... How many campaigns have I run that didn't go very well? I think I'm at like 3 or 4 campaigns that just haven't... They never took off. I got about 2 or 3 sessions in and then they died. My 3 campaigns that have worked very well, it's always about, yeah, that session 0... making sure everyone's on the same page with the mood and the theme of it, and then it can run a lot better. So I think I commend you for having that sense of mind. Get that session 0 in there. Get a theme. What is your theme, Gabriel? I know you're doing this Hidden Kingdom. Are you making it like a fun kind of thing, or are you trying to keep it a more grim, dark, serious tone? What is your theme? I'm just asking you all the questions to steal all your ideas. I agree, personal information. I haven't really played much from the actual modules or the actual lore of D&D. So I enjoy playing this like homebrew stuff and getting into a little of the weird situations you can find in these games. Let's see. I have some houses I can throw in here, but I have a lot of buildings already. Let's throw a cart in here. We'll throw a cart. The downside of this tool is a lot of these, like, if I need to rotate this cart, I had to double click on it and then go here to rotation and then say, like, okay, I'm going to do a 180. And then, whoops. Whoops. Apparently hitting the enter button, no matter where I hit it, whether it's my keypad or my main computer or main keyboard, it's going to change the scene. Yeah, right? Almost just ended it. That's the show, folks. No. We're going till 4 o'clock. We're going for another half an hour. So yeah, so I'm going to do decorating here. If anyone has any questions, needs some advice, thoughts, rules, clarifications, that sort of thing, feel free to ask. That's what I'm here for. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm only partway through that particular arc of JoJo's. I'm still... It got distracting when I realized it was Matt Mercer's voice because I watched the dubs, not the subtitles. So it got distracting being like, oh, that's Matt Mercer every 5 seconds, that every time he was talking. A grim theme, but light enough to not crush your soul and not want to play anymore. Okay, so you made it a little edgy, but not so bad that they'll run away from it. I think that's a safe place to be. That's safe. Man, yeah, JoJo, I really enjoyed the first, season? I feel like it was like 2 seasons of the first arc. No, yeah, because it was the main guy. Crap. If you're going to start. Ooh. You know, you know what, that's a good question, because I haven't done this or haven't tried to explain this. Where do you start when coming up with I think it all starts with an idea and a simple story. Start small, right? That's what everyone suggests. You have an adventure or a quest, and you've played video games, so you know, start with a simple quest, and then let the players do that. See how they enjoy that. Because I always recommend people don't go crazy. Don't go writing an entire campaign right away. Like, this campaign that I'm working on here, we've been playing for over a year. So I know that they're into it. So I go a little more in depth. But if I'm first starting out, I'll start with like a very basic... Think about it. It'll take about 2 hours to play, especially if you're playing with your kids. That's... you probably don't want to have a super long session, but keep it super simple and just that's a good way to think about it. Think about a quest. Man, you're really making me think about this. And this is one reason I started the channel, because I didn't want to lose touch with getting started and the basics. Start with a simple adventure, and sure, if you're going to come up with it, treat it like there's a hero, but then you just replace the hero with whatever the player, your kids are playing, right? And then it's video fodder, but you're showing, the cracks are showing now. You've ruined me. But then you treat it like the hero's not there, and the reason, though, that you don't want to go too far is because you have the... you don't know what your kids are going to want to do, right? You don't know what the players are going to want to do once they get going, so you may have to change everything, right? And so I always start with, like, what is the basic idea? For this particular campaign, my very first premise that I introduced was there's a city that's floating up above an island, and the country beneath it had been working to build a road to access that city, and the players happen to be in that town when that road opens. But the twist is the city is also full of giants. So there's like that. And that was basically all I came up with. And to get them to go to the city, I introduced a plot hook that, they met a person whose brother had gone up to that city, and then they had to go look for him. And that's what got them there. So start simple. Mine, I think, was a little more complicated than it needed to be for a first session. Jack, welcome. Top 5 published campaigns. Here's the thing. I don't have a strong opinion on these because I haven't played them. I haven't run them myself. So I usually read over the basic premise and I get the idea of them. So I'll give you my opinions, but it's all based on the rule of cool, because I think of things that I would enjoy playing myself, even though I haven't got to play in any yet. But I think number 5, we'll start with number 5, Storm King's Thunder. I like the idea of dealing with giants and dragons. I think that's a really neat idea. I don't know a ton about it, but I did use it to inspire this campaign that I'm working on of dealing with giants and having to deal with that kind of stuff. So that's why that would be my number 5. Number 4. This is tough. I'm probably going to go... No. I think I'm going to go with, like, the Tyranny of Dragons lineup, meaning the Horde of the Dragon Queen, followed by Tyranny of Dragons, I think is that. Which is then being... Oh, man. That's a tough question, man. I'm pulling up my D&D Beyond right now to see what the name of the book is. Because it just completely... It's Horde of the Dragon Queen, followed by The Rise of Tiamat. That's the one. Which combined make the... Actually, yes. That's actually a very good question, Dustin. And it ties in with what Jack Samo is asking. If you want to not have to think of an adventure, you can go and get the pre-published books. The best one, I think, for beginners, still for me, well, there's 2 of them now. It's Lost Mine of Phandelver, because if you buy the starter box, and it's like $20 or $30, it has the book, it has a rule book, it includes character sheets, everything you need to run a game. If you buy what's called the D&D Essentials Kit, it comes with a story called Dragons of Icespire Peak, which also is an adventure and also includes a rulebook. So either of those, if you start with that adventure as like you're starting, it's a lot easier to get going, and it kind of walks you through it in how it's written. So those would be my suggestions. In fact, D&D Beyond. I hit enter again. I need to rework on my hotkeys on this. On mine, if we go to here, I have Lost Mine of Phandelver, and I'll show you how it's written out actually real quick, because it's really interesting. Thinking back, so it was Horde of Dragon Queen with The Rise of Tiamat as my number 4. Number 3, I think, would have to be Strahd, because I do like the idea, but I'm not crazy, insanely obsessed with the gothic horror. Yeah, so this has... if you start with the 3 books, there's too much there. So, Lost Mine of Phandelver, on the screen now you can see, there's this, right in the introduction, it has this whole section about running the adventure. And it talks about what the DM does, rules of the game, how to do ability checks, the basic stuff. That's a good to know personal information. The Essentials Kit, it's an updated version too. It's not as old as the starter box, but either one. Um, so Lost Mine of Phandelver takes those rules and condenses it. Same with the Essentials kit, it condenses it down so you can pick it up and run the game without as much homework to do. And it's the idea is, they give you your first taste is free, and then you got to pay for it after that. But you already have the core books, so expanding from these would be very simple after you get the idea and you get the basic. We'll get to that, Gabriel. I do have an opinion on that one. So Strahd was my number 3. Number 2 for me is, since it's not a full-on campaign, I really like the Ghost of Saltmarsh book and the adventures in there. I grew up, as Dustin knows, like Dustin Wears Pants is actually a friend of mine from high school, which I haven't seen in a couple of years. But he's a good friend of mine from way back in the day. We grew up on the coast in a fishing town, so I do miss the ocean and that kind of thing. So I do like the ideas behind Ghost of Saltmarsh. That's why I like that one. And then my number 1 right now, I still am really enjoying reading through Descent into Avernus. Or Avernus, that one. I like the idea of going to hell and raising chaos down there. And it feels a little like Mad Max with the jeeps. Yeah, so those are my 5 favorite campaigns. Not based on actually playing them, but just based on reading a little bit of some of them here and there and liking the ideas, the concepts. 5 favorite classes. I did have an opinion on this. Number 5 is going to be Rogue. I do enjoy the Rogue. I play it as my main. That's what I play in my main campaign as a player. But I also feel like they can be very underpowered compared to the rest of the party later on. Yeah, PE. Math wasn't good. PE was all right for me, though. Math was terrible. Social studies. No, so Rogues is like lower on my list. If I have to look at, the rules here. So Rogue would be number 5. Ranger would probably be number 4 because I like the idea behind the Ranger, but I also know that it's not very well balanced. It's kind of like ranged monk or ranged rogue a little bit is a little more effective. And I also know from a pure combat standpoint, doing a fighter that kind of focuses on one thing can be even more effective than the Ranger and the Rogue, depending on how you build them. Number 3, I think, has got to be Monk. Just doing the series on monks, which I do have. I outlined a whole video on my top 5 monk traditions that I need to film. But rearranging my apartment, I now have a new spot that I got to film in. It'll be up sooner rather than later. The monk would be number 3, though. I like how it's versatile it is, and it had the monastic traditions give it a lot of flavor just built into it, and that's fun for me. Number 2. Number 2, I think, is Barbarian. It's a good, fun, simple class to play, but I think they've made enough variation in the subclasses to really make each one unique and not make it too one note. Like, the Barbarian can be many things, which I like. And my number 1, I kind of am leaning really towards Sorcerer. I really like the sorcery point system and meta magic. I also like the wild magic surge is a fun flavor and a fun twist on things. And a sorcerer can be a big powerhouse, I think. So that is probably my number 1, though I have not had a chance to play it in any substantial amount yet. I've played it in one shot that turned into being a 3-session game. And we were playing level 17 characters, and I played a sorcerer, but it was also a cyberpunk game. So it was kind of odd. But it was still, a really fun class to play and just blow things up. Artificer Cleric. Oh, Bard. Everyone loves Bard. Everyone loves Bards. The Bard thing is like, they're going to do everything that every other class can do, but better. Druid is also, I do enjoy Druid, but I haven't had a chance to play it. I was going to play that in my main campaign, but one of the other players called dibs on Druid first, and so I went with Rogue. In no particular order. Sometimes you can't really, it's hard to put them in an order. I do like Bard, but I have not had a real interest in playing the Bard. But maybe that's because I know it's everyone's favorite, so I just don't have an interest in playing the Bard. Let's see. Cleric is also, I do enjoy a Cleric. The Cleric has some really good stuff if you're looking at the power. You know, really everything has their pluses and minuses. Probably my least favorite is probably Paladin and Fighter. I think they're they're too basic. Even though I know they're good and I know they have, you know, different things, I don't really know tons and tons about both of those classes, but them and Bard just don't appeal to me as a player to try and play. Though I did make a gunslinger fighter for a pirate campaign I was in. Yeah. So that's that. Those are some good questions. I'm going to look at the campaign settings, and then I'm probably going to look at the list of adventures, and I'm going to be like, oh, of course, that one I didn't even think about. Oh, Tales from the Yawning Portal had a lot of interesting little quests in it. I like the idea behind Tomb of Annihilation. Oh, man. Dragon Heist. Here's the thing. I really enjoyed running the beginning of Dragon Heist. I really liked the concept of being a short, you know, levels 1 through 5 adventure. I do love that, but I just didn't get a chance to really dive into it, so I think that's why it's not on my list. Clary hasn't played any of the race. I have a buddy who does that. I have a friend who's played a rogue every single game he's played, and he refuses to play anything else. And I told him, if your rogue dies in my game, you got to play something else as your next character. But I don't think he's going to. Rogues are they do have some survivability when played correctly. Top 5 races. Not human. Humans are boring. Let's look at the list of races. So here's the thing. I really like dwarves. I think dwarves are fun. Like, they're probably I would say that's my favorite, hands down. Dwarves are just fun. I know they're not like the craziest, coolest, but more than half of my characters that I've created for my game that I play in are dwarves. Like, I have a dwarf monk, I have a dwarf cleric, I have a dwarf fighter, I have a dwarf, I think I made a dwarf sorcerer. So that kind of thing. I do enjoy the Goliaths. Are a fun one to play if you're going for that large one. So let's say that's also on my list. Of the main ones, I do like a tiefling because they're so edgy. So edgy, tieflings. So that's 3. I'm really curious. I haven't read much about Mythic Odyssey of Theros yet, but I like the Leonin idea. I think that's a nice twist on the Tabaxi. I've played a Triton before. It was all right. I want to play a Warforged. Halfling. That's a good raid. Halflings are just cool too because you get the luck. You got some luck in there, which is really nice. Let's see. I haven't touched Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica yet. Satyr. What do we get with the Satyr? I know what a Satyr is. A charisma, dexterity, they're fey. Let's see. Charisma and dexterity, that's cool. They're as old as humans. They're about the same size as humans, too. I thought they were smaller for some reason. So do they have Fey ancestry? No. Oh, they're not humanoid. That's an interesting thing. I didn't think about that. Magic resistance. That's really cool. Mirthful leap. Performance and persuasion. I can see that. That's pretty fun. And you're odd. Oh, you're eccentric. Okay. I like that. I like that. Satyrs. Let's look at these Leonin. What's a Warforged? What's a Warforged? We need to fix that. Eberron, personal information. Eberron created the race of Warforged. They're essentially, what, sentient armor. They're like robots, kind of. They're made of steel and stone and wood, but they have, they're alive. And I think in the story, I believe they were built to fight in a war, but then the war ended, and then they're like, well, we got to do something. And so now they adventure in Eberron. Their whole thing is they get a constitution increase, and their choice. I liked the idea of a tiny Warforged. This was a character idea I had such a long time ago. When I was getting into my first game, I was like, I want to do a Warforged. This is the first time I was playing it, because they've been around for a while, but they just got brought into 5th edition with the Eberron books. But I wanted to make a Warforged that was like 2 feet tall, just like really little, but he would be like a Warforged wizard who didn't realize that he was a wizard. He would probably think he was like a warlock or something. I don't know. But I was gonna do a Warforged spellcaster who was really small. But I never got a chance because my DM said no Warforged. But yeah, they're a really neat race to play. They look like this. That's a small picture. Warforged Artificer, yeah, I feel like that's gonna be a classic combo. The Warforged Artificer. Back to the races. I just like the things that are not the most common. If you look at the list of, like, we go here, we look up Dungeons and Dragons. What is it? Player statistics. There was something going on that they had. Is your D&D character rare? Oh, here's the sheet. Aarakocra, yeah. Aarakocra is a really good race to play also. So there's this. So this was a most popular races and classes in Dungeons and Dragons, right? And they made this spreadsheet, and they went from 100,000 characters based on D&D Beyond. So the characters made on D&D Beyond. And the number one was the human fighter. And I'm not a fan of that. I mean, I get it. It's a fun race. I mean, it's a fun class. It's basic. It's very simple. It's really good for beginners. I think the fighter class is really good, and it has enough depth at the higher levels. Like, once you get the hang of it, then you can really have some fun with it. But I'm like, the human fighter. That's just my, that I don't like that. I would hope that people would be a little more excited to play other, races and classes that are something a little more out there, but they don't. I think that comes from a lot of people probably getting into the min-maxing. A human, I know, a variant human is a very powerful race to play if you're in the optimizing and min-maxing, because you can just really make it what you want right off the bat, where the other classes are pretty... what's the word for it? They're kind of stuck in how they are, But then it's interesting if we look at the races. Let's see, the total races being played on D&D Beyond. Humans was 25,000. I also like the monk more than a fighter. But then the elf was the second one. 10,000 more people almost, right? 16,443. compared to 25,248. And that's just the elf, which is the second, in my opinion, the second most boring race to play. And no, I'll take that back. Half elf is the second most boring. Elf is the third most. Then there's dwarves, which I'm guilty. I do like dwarves. But then, like, the Aasimar and the Aarakocra and Goliath are down here. I know one of my Aasimars is in here, and one of my Goliaths is in here on this count, I think. So I just thought that was really interesting that they were able to get all this data, and they did it again. This was from 2017, and I think they had done it again more recently. Is this the article? It's more popular than ever. This is like, look at all these big names playing the game, sharing it around. Good. Here's another one. The breakdown of backgrounds. Interesting. So this one. Okay, I'll try again later. So this one, I'll zoom in here. Whoop, that's really big. So this is the breakdown of races played. Humans take up almost a quarter of all players are play humans. Kobold is over here with a 0.6%. That's great. But I also noticed, I think it's funny that Kenku, which are supposed to not be able to talk, are up here. They're getting more love than the Aarakocra and the Triton and the Lizard Folk. Interesting. Furbolg, I'm pretty sure, came into more popularity due to Critical Role and the characters that Mercer came up with. Then if we look at our backgrounds, Outlander. Interesting. I didn't think about Outlander is pretty cool, I guess. Oh, custom, of course. I've went with criminal, noble, folk hero I've done, bounty hunter. You do a lot. And then here's the breakdown of the classes. What is this other? Is that artificer? Or hexblade, or what's the other one? Blood hunter, right? That's the one that they made up. So I guess this is homebrew. Almost 1% is homebrew. And this was a much smaller sample size, though. All right. So we're about 5 minutes to 4. So let me recap a couple things just as a reminder if you guys are interested. I'm going to run a game with viewers. I'll chop that section out and get that set up with an email for people to email me at if they would like to play. Look for that video explaining more of that tomorrow or later tonight. As soon as I get it done with the stream, I'll probably just highlight it and post it. And then if you have any interest in trying to join in or wanting to join in the, RPG Writer Workshop for the month of July, I'll be doing a giveaway for that, which will be tuition, which when I say tuition, it's not a whole lot, but it's enough that you'll get all the lessons, which are really good, really informative stuff on how to write your adventure. And it comes with assets on DM's Guild that you can use in laying out and making your adventure look good. So it comes with both of those, and I will get that set up so you guys can, whoever wins that giveaway can also join in that class, because I think it's a fun class. I like what those people who created the course are doing. I've learned a lot from it myself. So yeah, so I think it'll be fun. So yeah, guys, thanks for stopping by. This is supposed to be just a chill stream. We just got into some data, but I'm hoping to be back posting more videos soon. For July, I'm probably not going to get back to the interviews because I'm going to go back to doing live streams of writing an adventure like I did in March. So for the month of July, look out for those live streams of just adventure writing, doing those. And then I want to do more of these kind of community, just chat kind of things. So if you ever have problems, have questions or things you want to bring up with and talk about, we can get this more set up as a more interactive form of stream, I think would be something I might like to do. Yeah. So all that being said, guys, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Keep an eye out. Talk to you later.